Are we holding? Yeah. Hello everyone. I will not be escaping today. However, I will be helping Dave Chow with all the procedures. What Dave will going to put now is Volcano Mineral, is a kind of lava spit. This will help to filter for the roots spread really fast because they don't compact that well. And allow you also to have some aeration on the substrate. This is Volcano from GBL. I can give you a slight sample so you can just move hand to hand, but it's nothing more, nothing less than lava rock that was smashed. We tend to use it always in the first layer, then put some powder over it. That will give rich elements for the roots of the plants and help them to grow. And also is something that is cheaper than normal soil. So you can build a foundation, give a big slope, not expending a lot of money. And then in the end just covering it with soil, okay? We have more. This is it. No idea what it is. Sorry. I need to bring this here. Not stay in the front of Dave. It's okay. I'm going to place the soil now. For example, in this tank, since probably we're going to be dismounted after the workshop, we are not going to place any powder because GBL brand, they have the lava spit, then they have a small powder rich in elements that you can just put over these minerals, and afterwards you place the soil over it. Since we don't going to keep it, we have just demonstrated, and since it's not, we don't want it to be mixed, so we just use the lava spit and then the soil. You're going to put sand or soil? Sand first. Okay. Over here. We have different ways to start a scape. Usually I put the sand for last. Dave always put the sand for first. There is any reason, Dave, why you put the sand first?
because mostly I don't like soil front because it's black in color. So I just put in some sand.
Yeah. Ah, okay. What is, I don't know if you hear what he said. So he placed the sand first because don't want the first layer visible on the glass is a big layer of soil. So he placed the sand first, and then even if he needs to put a little bit of soil on the back, it will never be visible on the front glass. Usually I do the opposite. I start building everything and I don't want the sand get the soil. So it's the last thing I do in the tank after finish. But each one has his own way to do and work. There is nothing wrong in doing it first or doing it last. Soil? There's too much tools in there. Okay. I don't know if you have tried something like this before using the lava spit, but usually when you place rocks over the lava, it's very difficult to hold them in place because it's like trying to calibrate or balance a rock over the glass. It's very slippery, and this is why Dave is placing the soil after, so we can place the rocks and they keep the shape, they don't move. If we put them over the lava split, it's very difficult to keep the shape because it's rocks with rocks and glass. So they are always trying to move. Now what he's doing is just make the soil even with a slope. He's on the front. Dave, move a little bit so they can see what you are doing. Just to make the soil even, like a line and a slope from front to back. So then we start to place the hardscape. In the front, probably now is around 1 centimeter. On the back of the tank is around 5. I think that we also will increase a little bit the height just to give a better slope. And why we use a slope in the tank? A slope helps you to see the things that are placed behind. Imagine this. This is the base of the aquarium. If I place something here with this height and something here, this back probably will not be seen. Okay? However, if I make a small inclination, everything on the first part and the second one on the background will get some visibility. It's like in a mountain. If it's everything so flat, you don't see what is behind. But if it's in a hill or in a mountain, you start seeing the different levels. And this is why he's making a slope, so you can see from the foreground to what is placed behind. This one? More soil? Dave does not have any problems with English or the communication. He only likes to concentrate and focus on what he's doing in a Zen mode. We are completely different. I am a big talker. He's like a guy that likes to do anything in a Zen mode, no talking that much. He's focused on his design. And this is why I'm talking. If you prefer I shut up, I will go on the other side. We're still okay. Yeah, okay, we go. So now something special, Dave. Did you make a drawing about how you're going to make it? Have some idea? So it will be more or less like improvisation. A river stream. But you make a draw first? Okay. So he did a draw. He always liked to do some drawing to know exactly which rocks or flow he's going to use in the tank. And for this one, we'll make something more mature, like a river stream. Okay. Okay. When it's finished, we're going to show you the design, what it did the draw, I think yesterday or today, when I was planning the layout, and I will show you to see if it matches with what he's making. You want a small rock to hold it on? It's in place? Okay. It's the way I was placing it and making the edge a little bit above the soil and not make it growing but like a cave, is to play with the 3D shape, making shadows. Shadows are very important in layout because if you take a picture with a flash, it could be very flat. And so when you play with shadows, you can give that mystery look, and something is pointing out. It gives you that sense of depth when he's bringing to the front and take you back. So the shadows are very important for the layout. And this is the reason I was playing with these edges a little bit above. So we'll make a little bit shadow, that front and here. Sorry. Huh? With this 6. Okay. In the flow. Okay. The idea is just to pour a little bit more soil, give the volume, the same as I explained to you before. Giving the slope will make it visible for the first, when you look to the tank, will make it visible all the steps and all the levels of the tank. And just placing a little bit more soil will make the line even all the tank. More? No? Oh! As you can see here, there is already a level. You see? If it was a same flat, if it is not pouring more soil in the back, you will never see the few layers of it. Okay? And even the camera, I'm not sure is probably at the same level of the tank. I think it is. Looking for these parts here, I think it's level by. So you can start seeing a few layers. This is the first rock, second layer, and as soon as you get more soil on it, you start seeing more layers and more elements behind. This one looks quite close, but this one is far away from the front glass, around 15 centimeters. Also, Dave is playing a little bit with the height of the tank. This tank is really deep. I think it's 120 by 50, 60 by probably 40. It's 60. 45, but including the edge, so probably take 5 centimeters is probably 40. So it's a very panoramic tank. And this is why it's playing more or less with the level on the soil in the background, just to give you more or less the perfect height where you're going to put the plants. Because it does not intend to carry the soil to the edge of the tank.
The bigger one is in the front, the smaller one is at the back, so that the perspective will be showing in this way. This is the skeleton of the basket.
Yeah, you mean the flow will come from the big one to the back? There is any reason for these elements over here? It's just to create perspective.
The ending point is like this way, so that the imagine river is coming from this side.
So the idea is just to all to build those, is to create the flow inside of the tank. It's like a river coming from this corner and it goes and flows directly to the front. This is why the big rocks are placed in the front, and creating the perspective of small rocks in the back will give you the depth of the tank. Placing the wood, normal and bulk driftwood, large one. Any explanation about the reason to add more wood?
No. If you go to the river bank or the city, not only the stone over there, there will be the broken tree trunks over there. So this is more natural things to be to express, and also.
No, because it's not closing, they cannot hear. Okay, but I think the idea, what Dave wants to explain is the same as the rocks. If you place just one or two rocks, it doesn't look that natural because usually there is a rock structure. And the same as the wood, when you start placing more material, more wood inside, it looks even more natural because there is not only one branch of wood. If you look on nature, there is always a few parts, they are mixed together. And adding more elements make always more interesting points to look. So wood must be treated more or less the same as rocks, in groups, as a structure. Even if the wood does not have the volume enough, you can build that volume by adding more elements, let's say more branches of wood. Soil? Need help? Help? No?
Buddy?
Keep that. Do you have any questions that you want to place to Dave? So he can explain some of the procedures, what he's doing. Something? No? I will. Okay. That will be funny. Don't smile. That will be the spot of the event. The guy just falling on the floor. He's asking, what do you do usually to prevent the wood to don't float? Well, to hold it. Okay. Even if you want to get rid of the super glue, because it's a trendy thing to use, if we don't have any option, we must use it. Here he will try to make it more natural as possible. Don't use the glue, but using rocks over the wood just to prevent it to don't float. Okay, we can always put the wood in water before, let them sink. Yeah, but usually no one does that. Okay? Or we don't do it because usually we get the wood, we buy the wood, we get the wood, we place in the tank, and then they will get treated inside of the tank. However, super glue, expansion foam can also be used. I am using expansion foam for a couple months back because it's very useful, fast. If we place the wood, we don't need to take them out. Just place a little bit of expansion foam. 1/10 of what you think you're going to use. Only a little bit, not that much, because that expands, and then after, let's say 1 hour, probably is already over all the hardscape. So just a little bit. And since that works also as glue, you place a little bit just between the rocks and wood. It gets attached to both, because even being porous is not porous enough just to use a little bit of glue between both. So we need always to use some cotton, paper, filter cigarettes mostly, or doesn't go. The ones that we don't smoke, clean ones, yeah? Okay, so we put it between and a little bit of super glue. Cyanoacrylato is the super glue. It's not harmful for fish, you can use. And also expansion foam, after it gets dry, is like a styrofoam, so it's not toxic. Unless you fill it up all the tank with it, but I don't believe. So the idea here is to place more natural as possible, putting rocks over the wood, old style, so we fix them by adding rocks, keeping the wood down. Of course, if you touch the rock, the wood comes to the surface. And this wood, bog wood, is usually large, very dense, and when we think that is heavy, will not float. Don't get me wrong, that will float. I have used a 45 kilos piece of wood, and I was flooding the tank till 75%, and it started bouncing on the back. So all the plants start to float. So since this point forward, I never trust on the wood again, because 75% they start bouncing, probably 100% will flip. So wood is always be treated very careful, otherwise you will damage all the scape. And worse, since we're going to plant in dry, okay, If the wood gets loose from the soil, you have 3 times the trouble or the work just to replant it again. Because you prepare the plant in small parts and you put it on the soil. If they are floating, probably they are not compact anymore, so they open like the foreground. So to get them all again, to plant them all again, probably takes you 3, 4, 5 times the work just to do it. So be careful that you are using something to hold the wood down. Coated iron, coated wire can be also used using garden. You know that you can fix the fence. This iron inside that is plastic coated, plastic zip ties. You can also hedge. I know that it's ugly to see it, but after a few months you can just cut it down. Some wood probably takes half a year or maybe more. That wood that I have in that tank is 90 centimeters high, 45 kilos. I'm pretty sure that will bounce. Still not probably after 1 year it's not completely soaked. Wood is always a little bit tricky. More dense it is, more time it takes to soak and don't float. Any other question? More questions? No? Yeah? The type of stone. Regarding the glue. The stone. This is landscape, could be cereal. Usually this kind of stone, there is always a little bit of limestone on it. If you pour some lemon or acid, it's a little bit effervescent, so it means it will change the pH and general hardness. However, my friend Dave already explained a few times that if it gets a little slight of algae, I'm not talking about a massive attack of algae, but a slight algae after 6 months, that makes the aquarium more natural. Otherwise it's something sterile, right? Because if you look all the same time like this, it's a panic attack to all aquascapers when they start get a little bit of algae. But that makes the tanks more natural, okay? So don't be afraid to get a little bit of green, a little bit of algae over it. It's natural, and also that will avoid the hardness to raise, so they will keep stable. But I know that for few, if you get just a little bit of algae on the rocks, it's a nightmare. I always say that if the algae is under control, there is no problem at all. Okay? Of course, when you start covering all the hardscape, it will not look that nice. But it's only aesthetic. If you balance your tank, all the algae, they are gone. They will go after a few months. It's just a question of balancing. If you don't balance or you don't find a solution, so it means that they will be back or get worse. So just find the balance, don't get scared. You don't need to dismount the tank, just need to wait. About aquascaping is about patience. We cannot speed up. Nature cannot be rushed. So we need to wait and they take this own time to grow. Okay? When usually we tend to rush a little bit nature, when the things start to get really, really wrong. So it's better just to let the things go with time, not rush. Plants will grow, algae come and go in the same way. Don't get stressed, don't need to dismount. If you dismount, you have another problem. So next time when you get the same algae, we're going to dismount again. So it's wrong. So you need to understand how to fight them. So in the next time, you already know what to do. Okay? Any other question? No more questions. Oh, okay. Dave, I want to explain something or not? Do you want to explain something or not? After, okay. ¿Estás grabando? Qué bien. can share. And on my phone. They can ask, so I will answer. Yeah. Yeah, ask them if they have any questions. He already did. No, he already did. But this is a river bank. So the sand comes from the corners, from the front, placing the rocks just to raise the level, using the wood just to make it more natural, and this is it. So no questions from the audience? They are all waiting. Okay, good. Me too. No, I'm waiting too.
Hold it. Yeah, because now is almost getting finished of the hardscape. So the wood is like a strong line to enhance the perspective of the riverbank floating. So the floating like this way. Now I'm just adding some soil for the after the planting, because the planting need a thickness of the soil. So just adding to fill up the space of the rocks and the wood. So this now doing some kind of how to say that, kind of preparation for the planting, yeah.
So let's start preparing. Do you know exactly what you want to use? Okay. We have here mixed plants. I will just take them out so he can see what he wants to use. Another one here. Okay. Dave, do you want something first to start using so I can prepare for you? Ciperos, yeah. Okay. Okay. So we're going for Cyperus Alferi. I believe this will give the strength and the flow, like the sense of movement. Okay, when it's placed the filter, since it's tall, it's like air grass, so the movement will make the flow. So if we place there in that corner the filter, so So we don't give the idea of coming from that side to this. So it must be placed here. Yeah, it must be here. Because if it's that position, the plants will be on the wrong direction. So you lose before completely the sense of the layout. So let's prepare. I will use one of those boxes. Huh? Okay. So maybe I can show why I plant the plants. Where is the camera? Here. Take the pot. Take the rock wool. So we have here all under roots. Usually I don't like the roots. Also help to promote new roots. And then you have all the plant divided in small, some tiny roots there, and they will adapt and grow faster in the tank. I will repeat. So I will bring 2, okay, 3. You hold it like this. Where is the camera? 1 pot, 2 pots. 3 pots. Usually I hold where the stem starts. With my thumb I take the part, twist it again and again, and we take most of the volume on the side. If I hold, I feel where it ends the stem and start the roots. I twist it. Let me throw this away. I didn't move my fingers, so I'm not cheating, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all here. So sometimes I believe you think that we are doing this very delicate way, but if you need to escape several tanks, you need to finish and worry up a little bit. We hold it again, like this. Hold it where this holds when it starts the roots and start the stems, or end the roots and start the stems. Twist it. There is roots here, you see? Now it's poking here. You see the roots? So I will do it there so we can see it. Okay, taking the rock wool. All these roots are pointless. My thumbs is here, the stem and the roots. I hold it at pressure, twist it, and then we have 1, all of you. How many do you want, Dave? Dave, how many do you want? All? It's not that much, it's probably 6, yeah? So, we go again, we take the pot, we use this one, don't throw it away. Okay. He wants also some air grass. The name of this is Eleocharis acicularis. What I'm going to do, I hold in the same way a few pots. Okay. We just grab it. We just pull it out. Yeah. Hold it. And what you usually do, this is to split in few parts. You just grab it. And why you should put this in a few parts? Because it tends to split. If you put just like a chunk of this like this, the center will not develop, so it tends to grow slower. So if you split this in a few parts and place in the soil, you have a full carpet faster. So let's prepare all the others. Okay, we have what we requested, so Eleocharis acicularis, airgrass, and Cyperus. Okay. Do you want to plant, Dave? Shall I plant? Tell me where. Okay, where do you want? Here, Cyperus and Eleocharis. Eleocharis here, Cyperus here. Okay. Okay. Is Dave saying that we're not going to flood the tank with water? Because it's only a demonstration, organizers will not have or not stay with the tank, and this is one of the reasons he's not concerned about the wood. Yeah, otherwise you need to fix it. Dave, Cyperus filling up this part only. Also here. Okay, okay, okay. No, just to check, just to check. See? Huh? Yeah. You take the microphone. Okay, I was just planting it, and I must say that after with the water, this has one flow. But since we don't going to flood it, you want me to stick the plants in the soil already more or less with the movement. Okay, so I need to give him a certain inclination, like this. The boss says so, I will, yeah. Oh, I will be fired. Good boy. I have one, but yeah, but not yet. So let's take this in the certain angle. Is that okay? Eleocaris here, yeah, here, same flow. You can do it. Prepare the other ones. Okay. So which one you want? We still have here this that looks like a fern. You don't like that? This, Juncus. Yeah, okay. And Volledig. And this one. Okay. So now we are going for Juncus repens. This is my favorite plant. A little bit weird. Looks green, looks like weed. Not in that sense of way. Huh? Okay, so I have good humor. So this is nice because it usually tends to grow like wild grass. You see in the field there is a field of grass. There is something out that always pop out, and it's quite nice when you use in the tank. So because being green with intense light, you tend to get orange color. So, and the tops are like this. I'm not allergic to this. Oh, I can show you this. Yeah. So it pumps out like this. It looks like small papyrus. Okay. The way to prepare is the same. We just put the ant in the right place, pull it out, you see all the roots are here. I'm not damaging them, just placing the fingers on the right position, just need to pull it out. Okay, they are full rooted, but still in the position, you just take it apart. I will show you one inside of the tank. Here you go. Hold it. Yeah, you can still doing it. Okay. Yeah, boss. So bobitis, yeah. Now we are taking bobitis. Bobitis odlotis is a rhizome plant. This one we should not bury it on the soil or sand. Take it rock wool with some caution. Just don't pull it out, otherwise you can damage the rhizome. And the rhizome are those small roots you can see here. Okay? You can split it and glue it on the wood, or just stick it in the small holes. Okay? I will leave it there for Dave. Repeating the process, always the same, but this one a little bit more gentle. Okay? You need to understand where is the rhizome, because the rhizome is where the hold the plants and the plants start to grow. The leaves, you see, there is a little bit here hard part, and this is the roots coming from there, but should not be buried on the soil or sand. Like Anubius or any rhizome plant. How many bobitis do you want? 5? Yeah? Okay. Next is this one. He wants to use some Starugine Portovelio. Is also a green plant, and this one tends to keep more or less the same size of the leaf, more or less the same size, but it tends to grow down. So maybe you will use this to enhance the flow on the tank, because this plant, when it gets light, tend to, we call it creeping, it goes down. Okay, it's to get volume with this, it takes a while. So you need to trim and wait a little bit to grow, but always when it gets light, still go down, down and down. It's Starugine. Okay, there is at least 3 types of it: Starugine repens, Portovelio, and BR. BR is probably the one with the bigger leaves. It looks like a palm tree. How many from this, Dave? Please focus. How many do you want from this? 5? Less? Yeah, this is 1 pot. Okay, okay. The meaning of not so many depends from aquascaper to aquascaper. For me, not so many can mean 10, 15, 20. For him can be 3 or 4. We don't know. It's not so many. But also depend on the area that you want to give volume. And always when we start scaping a tank, it's better to use more mass, more plant as possible. That will avoid the tank get with algae, because there is more plants to compete for the nutrients and there is no space for algae. If you start just with a small quantity of plants, the nutrients available from the soil probably will be too much, and the plants will not absorb them all, and they will start to grow algae on the hardscape. Here it is, boss. You are the boss today. Anything else? But more? Parva. How many? A few. A few. Yeah. So cryptocorynes are quite nice to unpot, and probably the ones that scares you most because the leaves are a little bit fragile. I'm just taking the old ones. So how are we going to do this? We hold the pot. I'm holding the leaves close to the roots. I take the pot. My thumb try to scratch more I can from the rock wool. And then we have here all the roots, but a lot of rock wool too. If you want to plant it like this, it's okay. This rock wool is not toxic for the fish. However, if you want, you hold it like this and use tap water and you take all the rock wool. It's easy. Or you can do it my way. I put my thumb a little bit down where the leaf starts. I twist the roots. Then when I pressure the plant, it comes apart like this. So from one you have a lot. When I mean a lot, it's a lot. All here. So you can take 1, 2, 3, 4. We still here a lot. So if you want, you can see it. Now I lost it. Oh, they are here. So I will repeat again. We hold it. We take it the rock wool. You hold it a little bit down. You twist the roots. You press it. Doesn't matter which cryptocoryn it is. All the cryptocoryns in the same way. We press it, and all come apart easily like this. Okay. So repeating this all the time, we do it in the same way. You just make it press a little bit more. Plants are fragile, but don't need to be taking care on that, let's say, to attention, or oh, I'm going to break it, oh, I broke a leaf, or come on, we still keep the rhizomes. Also, a fact very important about cryptocoryns, they tend to melt because from its own habitat, they have 2 seasons, dry and submerged. So it's still on the genes that usually time to time they tend to melt. And they are slightly demanding regarding the water change or water parameters. If the water changes that much, they tend to melt. So it's like the internal clock saying, oh, we are in the merge season, so let's dry now, let's melt and grow again. Some people or some scapers just trim all the leaves and plant all the roots. If you want to make it interesting, you can cut all the leaves. You can just take all the roots and you sprinkle all your tank and leave it. The water flow will take the roots to the most interesting parts, and from there we grow the cryptocoryns. That is exactly as we have in nature, is the flow. Okay? It's just an idea. However, don't blame me if it doesn't look nice. Okay? It's just an idea. I'm saying that looks natural. I'm not saying that looks beautiful. This is 2 different things. And then if you escape a tank and we start all over again, there is always a nice surprise. The cryptocoryns will always pop up even if you don't want them. It's always like that. Once you put them, and don't try to pull them out from the soil, because usually cryptocorynes can be this size, the roots can turn all the aquarium, so don't do it, don't take them out. So Dave, you want to say something? No, after, when you finish. Oh, how much with time we, almost, okay, almost. Do you want to spray the plants? There is no water. It's very important that time to time when you are planting, and depending on your speed, it's good to spray a little bit the plants. Don't let them dry, okay? But you must have a water. Yeah, we have. It's only the position. I was looking for you. Not really, but thank you, Mark. Okay. If you are doing this at home, it's better to put some towel on the floor while you are doing or escaping. But I did. It was me. I didn't. Oh. Ah, okay. No, for coincidence, this hold on my trousers and then this goes down. So, it wasn't me. No, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. Okay. So I'm saying that usually if I'm doing this wrong, put some towels on the floor, because we always make a little bit of mess. The wives, you know how they work. If they are doing the mess, they will clean afterwards. Usually we tend to do the same, but before they always warn us, say, this must be clean, and they make it that with some kind of very strong message, so we need to clean. And usually when you are very cautious, there is always water spill on the floor, there is plants on the floor, there is rocks over the shoes and scratching the floor, so it's better put something to protect. When you finish, you roll up and it's done. But this is always a great statement when they say, this must be clean. It's better the floor is not scratched. So you already know what is waiting for you, right? So let's clean. Okay, here we are. Thank you, Mark. Shall I help you or not? No? Thank you. Sister, but ooh, what? About the general composition. So as you can see, here we have the tank made by Dave. We have sand in the front, some rocks and some wood. What do you want to explain? So, about something about the flow. Okay. And also you notice that he covered a little bit of the soil with sand. Usually I don't do that, but it does for one special reason. Because on that sand we're going to place also plants. If it's going to place plants, they need to have nutrition on the roots. Okay? So the sand is just a layer. It's capping the substrate, but the nutrients is still underneath. So it means you can still planting, and the plants will not suffocate, so the roots will not struggle, they will tend to grow. And also now you can see that wood and rocks are starting making contrast, because those rocks on the beginning they look like a slight or bright gray, However, when we start adding water, they tend to come to dark gray. And they usually contrast very well with the wood, because the wood is slightly reddish. And the contrast it makes with the sand, rocks and wood, and also all the green around, it makes a perfect contrast. I am talking something nice, or is it okay? Okay. Correct. Okay. I understand that some people would like to have the soil completely wet to plant, depending on the soil. Usually the soil is a little bit more soft than sand. So when you are putting the plants, it makes easier. Sometimes don't need too much water, because when you add too much water, when you put the tweezer and take it back, it becomes a little bit moist, so the plants don't get stick on the soil. You need to find the perfect balance between a completely dry or completely wet. Some soils I have used, must be very wet. Others we can just plant completely dry. However, they are not always completely dry. There is some moisture in the soil, okay? But you can just spray. I don't advise no one just to flood the tank with water and plant it afterwards, because the soil is still not compact. And if the soil is not compact, when you put the plant, it tends to come up to the surface. Mostly the small ones with the small roots, okay? Never wash the soil. The sand, yes, you can wash, even to take the slightly dust from silica, so will not make the water cloudy. But the soil, please don't wash it. If you wash it, you are taking the nutrients out, okay? If you are rescaping the tank and reusing the same soil, you can simply wash it. It's not a problem. You take all the dust, all the things you don't want, you put it again in the tank, and you can put some root tabs to give the nutrition back. Okay? Nutrition is very important because plants get all the feed by the roots, and then afterwards for the leaves. It's like 75-25%. In my tanks, I usually tend to use small liquid fertilization, but I have this substrate to have a lot of nutrients inside. So the plants can grow. I just add a little bit of fertilizer, and it's enough for the plants to take them immediately. No living space for algae. Okay? So I think I can pack this. I can pack all, or you need something more? Monte Carlo. Monte Carlo, okay, Monte Carlo. Do you want Liliopsis? No. Monte Carlo, okay. Some Anubius? Small ones, tiny ones? No? So Monte Carlo, what is Monte Carlo? Okay, so they can see it, what it is. Monte Carlo is a very tiny foreground plant. In my opinion, it's only my opinion, it's not so high demanding plant compared to Cuba or compared with any other small rounded leaf and layer plant, because this always tend to grow down. Doesn't matter if you have this thickness of planting already in a foreground. For example, you start planting here and you have this thickness. Of course, the roots are small, but since the plant I try is always go down, does not get out from the soil. But usually Cuba, this is young sister, if you get the layers to increase, it'll float. This one always tend to go down. Sometimes you can use it as just glue it a little bit on the rocks or wood, and it starts growing always down, never up, down, always pointing down. Okay? To work on this, to take the plant out, okay, I will make the traditional way. We grab it from here, take it off, but I will want to show you the other part. Okay, so let's try to take this off. we pressure it, we take it. It's like this is more or less the format it takes when it's growing inside of the tank, but shorter. What I do, I hold it like this, pressuring it, and pull it out. Then, when we open it, usually what we do, we take small slice and we plant it. Must be very gentle. This is very, very tiny roots. 1, 2, 3. I think we don't have 4. Anything else there? No? More Volbetis? No. No need. Okay. Huh? Final touch. He's taking care of the final retouch on the layout. When we usually say that, it means that we are finishing quite close. And the details are very important because the details will make the difference. If you are staring to the tank and waiting and looking for 5 minutes or looking for 15 minutes, you can just look to the tank and say, oh, it's nice, and then you move. Or you can say, oh, this is nice, and let me see how we did it. So we have so many things that they balance and complement each other. So this is working on the details, what it means, slight retouch just to make it more interesting and more impressive. It falls, or you want to use it? No space. Okay. Someone want it? Okay. Let's spray the tank a little bit more. You see the color of the rock starts changing. Ready, boss?
Okay. So today the workshop is almost finished. So basically, as Philip talked, is because I use this plant because the yeah. And you can see that this is imitate the river streams to floating in the at the back to the front. So this is a usually we are doing this kind of aquascape is a little bit difficult because you cannot have a very strong current in the tank physically, but we must use the hardscape to enhance the flow of the just imagination. So I use some narrow rock and also the wood to enhance this thinking. And also, if just say that using the plant is also carefully to select. For example, the current is from here. This plant should be much more narrow and like to show the flow. So using the plant like that. And also, I have imagined that the how to insert the plant is also very important. Not just 90 degree, just insert into the soil. Should be like 45 degree. So after that, when they are growth, they will look like in that way. So this is to be a kind of method to help we are to enhance the speedy layout. And also adding some ferns and molds to enhance the wood is getting old at that place. So this is a kind of method like that. And the final touch is using some green flowering plants at the stone edge, so let it grow it more naturally. So, any questions? And it's almost done, yes. Thank you.